Hit high in the air and deep to left, and look at this! A walk-off grand slam home run by Justin Maxwell!
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Pursuing Passions, where we speak with people of different professions and backgrounds to hear how they discover their passions. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram so you can stay up to date with all our interviews. The link is in the description.
Yeah, so today we're speaking with Justin Maxwell. Justin played professional baseball for 9 years with the Washington Nationals, Houston Astros, Kansas City Royals, and the San Francisco Giants. And he's now currently a dental student. So we're really excited to get into this and hear about his journey. So to start things off, Justin, tell us how you're doing, man.
Yeah, doing pretty good. I had a full day at clinic. I was there from 9 to about 3. So happy to be home, but definitely excited for this interview.
Yeah, so let's just kind of jump into it right away. Let's hear about your experience growing up. How did you get into baseball? Talk about your experiences as a student athlete and how that all went about.
Yeah, so my parents were both in the Navy. They were both dentists in the Navy. They met at Temple Dental School. And then after they graduated, they ended up getting married and they joined the Navy together. And my dad was in the Navy for 22 years. Got the rank of captain. My mom was in the Navy for 20 years, and she was a commander in the Navy. And my dad was a general dentist, and my mom was a pediatric dentist. And in their spare time, they also played a lot of softball on base for the different base teams. So I spent a lot of my time around, the softball fields watching my parents play. So that's definitely where my passion for baseball came from, watching my parents play softball.
Nice. So it's safe to say they're your primary influencers for baseball? Oh
yeah, definitely. And also too, I mean, obviously you can say that for dental school too. I got my scrubs on, got my name on it. Yeah. Nice. So, I definitely looked up to my parents growing up, and it was actually cool seeing them do well, both, obviously in clinic, seeing patients, but then also performing well on the baseball field or softball field.
Nice.
So I guess it seems like there's definitely an emphasis on both the athletics and the academics for you growing up. But as a kid, as you're a kid, do you feel like the academics was the primary focus, and then it was like the athletics is something that you could do on the side, or you think it was kind of balanced, like equal emphasis on both?
Well, the way the parents structured it in my household, they always stressed to me that academics were first. They actually made a deal with me when I was like in middle school. They're like, if your grades are good, you don't have to ever get a job. So I was like, okay, there's my motivation right there. So I always made sure I took care of the school and the academics on my end, and I was fortunate enough that my parents always supported me wherever I played, whether it be baseball or basketball.
Nice. So how when you were growing up in high school, how did the whole process for baseball go? Like the recruiting process, how did you kind of get exposure out there? Yeah,
so my story's a little bit atypical. Nowadays, there's a lot of showcase and travel teams, and I was naive to all of that when I was in school, and I actually didn't have any college offers to play until I was a senior in high school. Up to that point, I did play on a couple of travel teams, but we didn't do any of the showcases where you play in front of college scouts and professional scouts. But I had one coach who hooked me up with this showcase team that played 2 weekends down in one in Charleston, South Carolina, and the other one was in Raleigh at NC State. And I played those only 2 weekends, and I was fortunate to have been seen by the scouts at Harvard. Got offered to go to Harvard to play baseball there. College of Charleston offered me a scholarship. Campbell University, but then University of Maryland, where I went, they actually didn't offer me until the spring of my senior season, like midway through. And the way that came about is that the head coach came to watch me play at one weekday game at Poolsville High School, and hit like 2 inside the park home runs. And after the game, the coach offered me a scholarship. So I was only like 2 months out from graduation before I ended up going to my alma mater, Maryland, to play baseball there. So very fortunate. God was good in my journey, getting me seen those 2 times. But there was a time in my senior year before I did those showcases where I was content with going to go play, or not even go play, but be a student at Penn State University, because that's where my sister went. And I didn't have any offers, but I was going to just go apply there and be a student there because my sister said she had a great time there. And God worked out a different way where, somebody came to watch me play baseball. So pretty cool.
Wow. This might backtrack a little bit, but you mentioned basketball also. Were you like equally competitive with that? Was there a time where you had to kind of choose between the two? Like, I got to commit to baseball full time, or?
Yeah, so baseball was always my number one sport. I just played basketball in the winter times, but I was a pretty decent basketball player back in the day. I think I made all county, and then I think I don't know if it was all Met or I don't know what it was called, but I was able to play in an all-star game at the Verizon Center my senior year too. So that was pretty cool. It used to be like they used to call it the Capital Classic. Where they bring all the kids from around the country. So I didn't play in the national game. I got to play in the local game against kids from DC and PG County. But I got the jersey at my parents' house. It's cool. I got a cool Jordan jersey with my name on the back. So, but yeah, baseball is the thing I played. If I had wanted to pursue basketball, I would have had to give up my summers playing baseball and, traveling doing that. But I always liked baseball more. But I was always grateful for the athleticism and the change of pace that basketball gave.
Nice. So take me through your college experiences. How were you able to, as a student athlete, obviously it's really hard. We hear about it all the time. How were you able to balance baseball with academics and excel on the baseball field as well, obviously, to make it?
Yeah. So, like most times when you meet people, you think everything is like, smooth sailing, but I struggled my freshman year. I went from playing 16 regular season games in Montgomery County, Maryland to playing, 56 games as a college freshman. I was like, I was not ready at all. But from an academic standpoint, I was able to hang in there and I did well. I think I got my first B since fourth grade, my freshman year spring season. So I was kind of upset about that, but then I got over it. But it took some time to learn, but honestly, those lumps I took my freshman year definitely motivated me to get better. But the way that they structure athletics and academics at Maryland is very helpful. They have all the tools in place for you to be a successful student athlete. They give you lots of tips. They say, don't fall behind, communicate with your professors. And I always made sure I did those two things to stay up to par. And it actually helped me too, taking AP courses in high school because my workload wasn't as excessive as some of my other teammates who weren't fortunate to take those courses. So I got biology out of the way and also math out of the way in high school. So I didn't have to worry about those freshman killers, as they call them.
Yeah. So was professional baseball on your radar when you were in college, or was that kind of an opportunity that you saw potential for later on?
Yeah. So after my senior year in high school, I was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in the 43rd round, and they didn't offer me a signing bonus, so I still have the contract upstairs in my house. And it was $850 a month to go play, rookie ball. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, I was like, well, my college scholarship's worth more than this. I'm definitely not going to go sign and play pro ball. But my whole goal, once I stepped foot on campus, was to get drafted again in 3 years. And I was like, I got to do everything in my power to improve my game, to become stronger, faster, a better player. And, I was very grateful that I had a lot of good coaches at Maryland. And also, too, my strength coach, her name is Corliss Fingers. She's the head strength coach at Bethune-Cookman down in Daytona. She was really instrumental in helping me become a better athlete, I should say.
So fast forward 3 years, you put your name in the draft. Take us through that process. What was that like? Yeah,
so actually it was 4 years. Oh, sorry. I did get drafted after my third year, but I got hit by a pitch by my teammate, broke my ulna here.
Oh, wow.
So I had to redshirt. I redshirted my junior year, didn't play any games. Was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 10th round that year because I had a good summer playing on the Cape Cod Baseball League. I played up there, was an all-star that summer. And then I went back there the following year, didn't sign. And then after I graduated Maryland, I got drafted by the Nationals in the 4th round. But it all worked out in the end in terms of allowing me to graduate because, having played professional baseball, not many guys who go to college end up graduating, but I always had that in my back pocket to fall back on. That was another thing too that my parents always instructed me to keep in mind. Like always give yourself options, whether whether it's in baseball, whether it's anything you do in life. Don't pigeonhole yourself to only do one thing. Be multifaceted and be versatile. So I was very grateful to graduate back in 2005.
I'm sure we're going to get into this when we talk about your professional career, but kind of through the college process, injuries, injuries and athletes, like they come hand in hand, and it's the difference between having like a long career or a short career. It's unpredictable. Are there any experiences you had even in college that I know you said you had that thing with your wrist that really, kind of demoralized you, that you felt like, oh, can I rebound from this, or is it going to hurt my stock? Or
yeah, I mean, definitely the first one was this, because I was preseason All-American before in the 2004 season. That was definitely demoralizing. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with my career because I didn't play any games. And the Rangers gave me a shot, and it kind of gave me hope, and I was real close to signing with them. But I wanted to give myself a chance to play that junior season. But then I played 7 games the following year, my redshirt junior. But then I actually broke my hamate bone. I'm not sure if you can see the scar there. So that season also got derailed. So I became, I went from student athlete to pretty much full-time student after that. So I was able to really push home and graduate. But yeah, I mean, I've had 6 major surgeries playing baseball, but none of them. Well, maybe my shoulder was maybe career threatening at one point, but baseball is one of those sports that is forgiving in the sense that if it's not too much of a major injury, you can bounce back pretty well. And I had both my hip labrums had surgery. I had Tommy John surgery on my left elbow, shoulder labrum on my right. So baseball is great because, like I said, you can bounce back. But had I played like football or something like that, I would have had a pretty short career.
Yeah, so take us through your baseball career. Like, what were some of your favorite moments? What did you learn on the field, and what did you kind of take away from that, and take that to your professional career with you?
Yeah, so I think one of the coolest things that happened to me, my very first hit as a professional was a home run in minor league baseball, and then when I made to the big leagues, my very first hit was also a home run. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I wasn't trying, both those cases to make it happen, but it just worked out that way. My first hit in the big leagues was a grand slam, and I was fortunate enough to hit 4 of them. But I think the coolest moment in my entire big league career was when I was playing for the Kansas City Royals. I hit a walk-off grand slam, the last home game of the regular season in 2013. So that was a pretty cool moment.
Nice.
And now we're in the professional scene. Any things that caught you off guard? Like, was it as you expected it to be? Were there things you wish you knew going into it, or like kind of some novice mistakes you made, not just in the playing aspect, but the business aspect of it as well?
Yeah.
Professional athlete.
Yeah, so I think the first thing that was a shock to me. So at Maryland, I was fortunate enough to get good grades. I only got 2 B's in my 4 years there. So I was trying to ask my agent. I was like, "Hey, can we use my grades as leverage?" And without hesitation, he told me, he goes, "They don't care about your grades." And I was like, "Oh well, all that hard work, 4 years, taking organic chemistry, Gen Chem 1 and 2, having to take physics and all that." And I'm like, "Nope, they don't care about your grades at all." That was definitely a shock because I thought that having great grades would give you leverage, but no, not in the professional world. And then also too, the off seasons. Originally with the Nationals, they were in the transition stage of new ownership because they used to be the Montreal Expos. So the first year I signed, I was expecting to do something with the team, like they're gonna, take me to their spring training place, but they were changing ownership, so nothing was really going on. So that first year before, it was 2005 fall, I was pretty much on my own. So I didn't really have any friends who played professional baseball to get advice from. So preparing for, spring training on my own without any kind of guidance was definitely a shock. But, obviously I got some good mentors around me as the years went on, and, figured out what it took to, get the job done in the off season. But yeah, definitely those 2 things were definitely shocks to me, because I was like, "Oh, is this someone to hold my hand, help get me ready for spring training?" Like, no, you're on your own, kid. Figure it out.
Yeah. Obviously with baseball, it's a really long season. You're always on the road. What did you do to kind of deal with all that? Kind kind of always being on the road, it's tough. So, anything you learn on that road or,
Yeah, so I became like a movie connoisseur, watched lots of movies. That's one thing. But I think the thing that helped me the most prepare me for all the traveling with baseball was being a Navy kid, being a Navy brat. So my parents, we moved around every 4 years. So I was able to make friends and able to pretty much be able to be very flexible because of my childhood. I never felt like I was a stranger or, outsider in any environment because I was able to, talk to people and make friends based on how I was raised. So that was pretty helpful. But yeah, the bus rides are awful. Like they're not like big luxury coach buses when you're playing minor league baseball. I'm tall. I'm like 6'4.5". So my knees are always killing me on the bus. Like sometimes I would even lay in the aisle on the long bus trips. But we figure out ways to get it done. And honestly, it was more motivation to help you reach to the big stage.
Actually, question I have is, like when you're playing in high school, you got your high school team, or you even got your travel team. College, you're playing with those same guys, that build up that camaraderie. And now professional baseball, now you're at the highest level, and you're playing on multiple teams. How is it like, playing at that highest level and being with a group of guys, and then having that change in a different season? Your teammates becoming opponents. Probably, what was the relationship like, the camaraderie? Like, just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I mean, all the teams that I played for had really good guys, and they were always very welcoming wherever I ended up. And I think the coolest thing is when you would get to play with one of the superstars, be it like Buster Posey, Madison Bumgarner, Tim Lincecum, Hunter Pence, guys like that. Even Ryan Zimmerman from the start, since I've known him since 2005. Like those guys are very humble for like as successful as they are on the big stage. Like, a lot of fans would assume that they'd be very egotistical, very boastful, very arrogant, but now it's like totally opposite. These guys were class act individuals who I, still keep in touch with to this day. And it was very nice to see like guys who are so successful on the baseball field remain awesome, humble individuals even after all their success.
Like if I can just bounce off that, like for yourself and how how you go around dealing with people. I mean, just talking with you, I can tell, and based on what I've heard from my cousin Omer, like, you're a really nice guy, really humble individual. Is there anyone who influenced you, like maybe it's these stars who you've seen how they, carried themselves, where you saw how I got to carry myself in my own public space?
Yeah, I think for me, it was more so the lessons I learned from my father. He would always tell me, never read your own press clippings. Like, remain humble, keep working hard, give God all the glory. He always instilled those lessons to me as a kid. So I made sure, like, I, kept those same principles once I started to make my way in Major League Baseball. So, having a good foundation from him and having him steer me in the correct direction was definitely beneficial. It helped keep me grounded.
Yeah. Let's kind of jump into, because you played 9 years in the league. Fast forward, I assume it's your parents, right? That, that seeing them going up, is that what caused you to pursue dentistry?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So like most of the time I can remember as a kid, like after school, if I had to go to the whatever naval, it was the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda. Now it's called Walter Reed. So I remember like going after school, hanging out at the base and hanging out in my dad's office, and then in between patients going around and hanging out in his chair and like asking them what's going on. I probably was definitely a nuisance when I think back to it. But, I spent a lot of time hanging out, meeting all the other doctors. And I always thought it was cool how, people always referred to my parents as Dr. Maxwell. So in the back of my mind, I always knew like one day, I was like, that'd be really cool to be called Dr. Maxwell, just like my parents. So,
yeah.
I'm halfway there. So Lord willing, everything goes right. But, just seeing the respect that my parents got and seeing, all their hard work that they put in and having that prestige of becoming a doctor, trying to, do right by your patients and, provide the best possible care. Those were things that always in the back of my mind, after baseball was over, I definitely wanted to pursue them.
So going through college, you definitely knew that dentistry it seemed like, take organic chemistry, gen chem, like you had that like pre-dent focus. So that was always in the back of your mind. Oh, after my career, I want to go into this.
Yeah. So for me, it was like a two-way street possible. Like I was an animal science major, but with that, I knew that so I always loved animals as well. So I knew that either I could go to dental school or I could go to vet school. So when I retired, I thought about what do I want to spend the rest of my life doing? So I was like, do I want to hang out with animals all the time? There's a people aspect there. And I was like, or do I want to help people improve their lives, improve their smiles, overall health with dentistry? So I thought about it for a while. And, after talking to my wife, I definitely felt like dentistry was a better fit for me because it allows me to make relationships with people. And also too, you can see like immediate impact, like when you're able to make a change with someone's smile or definitely help improve their life. So I'm happy that I chose dentistry. It's a blast. I actually told one of my faculty today that this is pretty fun what we're doing. So I'm definitely grateful that I chose this path.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the process. A lot of times people look at the end of the road and they don't really appreciate the process or the adversities you have to go through to get there.
Oh yeah.
So looking at baseball and dentistry, what were some of those adversities you faced and that you overcame in order to become successful?
Yeah, so I think the major one that a lot of people, even at my dental school, don't know is that so when I decided after thinking about it for a while to go to dentistry, so I get on the website, find local dental schools, where's the closest one. So I can go to Philly, I can go to Penn, I can go to Temple where my parents went. Columbia's a great school. And then, Baltimore, right? So I'm like, okay, great. I don't live far from Baltimore. Let's look at their prereqs, right? So I'm looking at their requirements, and right at the top of the page, it says a 10-year limit on coursework. And I'm like, okay, I played for 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, 11 years. So I get online real quick when I graduate, May 2005. I'm like, oh crap, it's 11 years. So I emailed the dean of admissions, and she answers right away. She's like, yes, you have to retake the prerequisites to get admitted. So, after panicking, I contacted University of Maryland, and they helped me like sign up for all the classes, and I had to retake 41 credits in 18 months to go to even apply to dental school. So, I whizzed through it. I took like Orgo 1, and then without even taking Orgo 2, I had to take the DAT to be on time to be admitted in the fall of 2018. So, I was able to work everything out, pass all the classes, and thankfully, thank God I got accepted, and it was crazy. Thinking back, would I have done that again? Yeah, definitely. But a lot of people said I was crazy to have done that. But the coolest thing, though, I know I said earlier that baseball didn't care about my grades, was that in my original contract, my agent negotiated like a college fund. So when I retired, like if I wanted to go back to school, the Washington Nationals helped me out with retaking those classes. So in the end, having good grades back in the day, it did pay off because it helped me retake those 41 credits to get me to apply to dental school.
That's something I wanted to ask about. Like, it's been so long since you graduated initially, and then you're going to be applying, and then having to take the DAT and like just having to go through all that material. But now, like, another thing I want to ask you is just balancing things, like just learning how to balance things. Like, I know you have a family. You were just with a travel team over the weekend. Even that time of your life after playing professionally and having to take those prereqs and just shifting gears like that, how do you balance out everything?
Well, honestly, I think the main thing is my wife is very patient. So, during all those years of travel, I have 3 kids. So most of the time she would have all 3 of our children at once, trying to figure out flights, trying to figure out how to move everything to our spring training home, then trying to move everything to our regular season home. And she was, sorry, there's a bug in here. But she was very instrumental and very patient, with me trying to, figure out our lives. So even still to this day, she's right now while I'm in dental school, she's working. She works with her father who does hair. She's always figuring out the schedule, and she knows like the clinic, the hours are going to be long. So she's always making sure we have babysitters lined up and stuff like that. So honestly, without her, I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff, especially Imran, you'll find out the first year of dental school is, as you'll find out from your cousins, it's not fun. Like you have gross anatomy, you got physiology, and honestly, without my wife's patience in finding babysitters for my kids, there's no way that I would have got through my first year of dental school without her help. because I had gotten a little bit of heads up from some of the D2s that it was going to be hard, but I was like, holy cow. It was definitely intense. But once you get through it, you look back at it and you're like, it really didn't take that long. But yeah, my wife is the reason why I'm been able to go back to school. And, the reason why I'm able to put so much time into learning a new craft, because she's been able to, like I said, find the babysitting, and two, have the patience with me when I have to study all night or get ready for, whatever procedure I have the next day. She's always finding time. So her name is Lauren, and maybe she'll peek her head down here later. But yeah, she's definitely the reason why I'm able to do any of this.
That's awesome, man. And really quick, I think it's just really impressive how you going from not being a student for so long. You're shifting gears and you're being a professional athlete for just that time span, 11 years, and going back to being a student. Was there any transitioning difficulties in that process? Being a student's a skill. Have those study strategies down and just taking a break from it for that long. How was it coming back to it?
Yeah, the main thing, I didn't know how to write. All right, so I went a decade with only signing an autograph. So I remember the first time I had class, I had to take Gen Chem 1 again, and I'm sitting there trying to take notes, and I'm like, I can't write. I was literally scribbling. I was like, I'm gonna have to rewrite this. I have no idea what I'm saying. And then also too, when I graduated in 2005, there was no Wi-Fi on college campus. So also too, that learning curve, they were like, yeah, everyone log on to Canvas and look at the course. I'm like, what is Canvas? No idea what that is. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, also make sure you download this app because we're going to have in-class quizzes on this app. And I'm like, what is going on? And then we also have these clickers that you had to click. They'll put a question on the screen, and the teachers want to make sure you're staying up to date with all the material. So they'll put quizzes on the screen, and you have to click it and get your points. And I was lost for a while. But after this third week, when I finally figured out how to write in cursive again, I was fine. But yeah, that was definitely the main thing. Dude, taking notes also was tough because I'm a visual learner. So a lot of times, a lot of the classes had the teachers just speaking, and then they would write stuff on the board. But usually what they say is the important stuff. So I'm trying to remember what they're saying. I'm like, this is not going to work. So over time, I definitely got better at it.
Yeah, so obviously you're more of a non-traditional student, playing baseball and then going into dentistry. Was there anyone that kind of, told you that you couldn't do it, or that stood in your way, that didn't really believe in you?
No, not really. Everyone was very supportive. I think the only time anybody ever threw any kind of negativity my way was when I decided to choose Harvard or Maryland over Harvard. Some people definitely were looking at me like I was crazy, but once I got those looks to go to college, I started to change my sights toward playing professional baseball. Mm-hmm. So I chose Maryland because at the time Maryland was at the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC. Yeah. So I figured that playing in the ACC would give me more exposure into professional baseball than the Ivy League, and also too. I was offered, a scholarship there at Maryland, but Harvard only offered based off need. And because my parents were both doctors in the Navy, they didn't really think that we had need, for any kind of financial aid. So that's that's another reason that contributed to my decision to choose Maryland over Harvard. But it all worked out. I'm very grateful for my baseball career, and going to Maryland. I also met my wife. So.
Oh, nice. So are you married throughout professional baseball?
Yeah, so my wife and I have been married for 12 years, married in 2008. My oldest son, Jaden, is also born in 2008 at the end of the year. We got married in January. So, I was married with her the whole way through, and she became one of my hitting coaches by the end of my career too. And she's also been very keen on helping my oldest son help develop his baseball skills as well, because she got to see me struggle so much during my professional career, and she's able to pick up insights to help him. So he's a pretty good baseball player at his age.
So I know a brother was telling me that you also do some coaching on the side. Do you coach your son's team, or how did you come at? Is that another passion you have?
Yeah. So I started when in 2017, I started coaching U10 baseball team in the Mid-Atlantic Red Sox organization. So I've had the same group of kids for the most part for the last 3 years. So now we're up to 12U. And, with all the pandemic and stuff, we've been able to find tournaments not too far away, obviously with all the guidelines and protocols to keep it safe for the kids. But yeah, it's definitely one of my passions, watching the kids become better baseball players, seeing them hit their first home runs, watching them improve. And in a lot of ways, coaching baseball is a lot more fun than I had playing, and watching the kids improve. So that's definitely been one of the things I've really enjoyed since I've retired from playing.
It's probably that rewarding aspect, seeing your kids get better day in and day out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also too, just watching their knowledge of the game grow, and to know that you had like a little bit of hand in it. Most of it is all their talent and their hard work, but to know that I can help influence their lives and help them become better young men, if not baseball players, is definitely one of the main motivators for me.
Yeah, just adding to that, I also saw that you've done some broadcasting on the side as well. So
yeah,
I feel like it's cool how you kind of are trying to nail all your passions out and trying to get them done. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. So one of the people from the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, Masson, here in DC, reached out to me to do some broadcasting for their pregame, postgame show as a fill-in. And so, without any experience, I was like, yeah, sure. Nice. I'll give it a shot. And, obviously I was nervous the first few times, but I got the hang of it. And then by the end of the season, I did like a 3-hour game on YouTube, the Nationals versus the Braves. No commercial-free game. That was a lot of fun. And then also did I was the expert for the World Series for local Fox 5 News for the Nationals last year in the fall on their way to the title. So, it was really cool experience. Definitely grateful for it. Definitely a learning curve associated with that as well. Yeah. But I had a lot of good people around me, a lot of good friends who also did some broadcasting, gave me a lot of good advice. And also, too, the people behind the camera that most people don't see, like they were very, very encouraging, and gave me a lot of good tips, and also always reminded me to slow down. Yeah. But I'm definitely grateful for that experience as well. The game on YouTube, it's going to be on YouTube forever. So, I could always have my kids show their grandkids, say, hey, Grandpa was on YouTube back in the day doing broadcasting. He's not playing baseball. So, it's definitely a cool passion. Keeps me in the game. I could also too get to see some of my friends still play. And it's just another way to stay connected.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It seems like a trend throughout your life. You've always made sure you're prepared for what you're going into. Mm-hmm. And part of that, it seems like, is having people around you that, you can get advice from and learn from, like mentors. How important do you think mentorship is in just anyone going through a specific field? You've kind of done, like things on different sides of the spectrum, like professional baseball, like dentistry, you got broadcasting, you got coaching. And just jumping into something new or something you're not too familiar with, how important is mentorship in the developmental process?
Yeah, I think it's an underutilized thing, honestly. My mentorship opportunities came about, like, obviously through my experience, but I had to like seek them out. So I would recommend, if anyone has any interest in dentistry, like go find a local dentist and seek them out to be your mentor. I have both my parents were my mentors in that regard, so I was covered. But from the baseball standpoint, I had one of my coaches, his name was Marquise Grissom. He became my mentor and helped me propel my baseball career by giving me advice, giving me tips, find different ways to help improve my game. And, I still use those things that he taught me from a baseball standpoint with my team, my 12U team right now. And, it's been a world of a benefit both to them and to me. But then from the dental aspect, being able to ask my parents questions about, different procedures or what did they look for in different situations. It's been so helpful for me, and also helps put me at ease when I go into clinic or go into doing different procedures, because I have a little bit of background having asked my parents who have, combined 80 years experience with dentistry, having their knowledge in my back pocket has been very, very, very helpful.
And also branching off the mentorship, I know we talked about this a little bit before, but I think it's really important to reemphasize this, in that, to get to where you are, whatever you're pursuing, there is a struggle in the process, and like you do your best, you do everything to make sure you're excelling and you're doing well. But that doesn't mean it's easy. That doesn't mean, I know it's like, it's really common, it's like in medical school, dental school, any kind of field, or even athletics, where, someone's really successful. They're just gifted. They're naturally talented. They just got a knack for it, and I'm incompetent or I'm not as good. So that's why I'm deficient. But then there's that hard work behind the scenes. Shed a little bit of light on that.
Yeah, so I mean, my main thing is whatever I did in life, I wanted to have no regrets with it. So even for the dental school, having to go back to school a second time, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do my best, and then take the DAT, and if I pass, great. If not, I know I tried my best. And so if you go into it with that aspect and giving it your best effort, and then judging yourself based on that and not comparing yourself to other people, I think that's the main thing that people have to realize, that the reason why people start to feel inept or inadequate in their own regards is when they start to look around and see, yeah, okay, that person's doing better than me, but instead take that attention away from that person and key in on yourself and try to find ways to make yourself better. And then at the end of the day, I think you'll be fine. And if it doesn't work out, then you have to do some sort of reevaluation to find better ways to pick something or to do something that keys in on your own strengths instead of just constantly comparing. Because when you compare, there's always going to be someone better. There was always someone faster than me. There was always somebody who hit the ball further than me, someone who threw harder than me. But if I dwelled on those things, I would have never had the career that I did. But I think self-evaluation and really keying on your strengths and improving on your weaknesses is probably the number one thing that you can do in any field, be it athletics or academics.
No, I think that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because especially in the social media era that we're in, a lot of times you only see the limelight and people in the top, or they'll be flexing their lives, or, they'll do one thing or the other. And it kind of, a lot of times people feel bad. And, I've had conversations with friends and family, and I just tell them, you can't look at that. You got to always evaluate yourself, work on your weaknesses, and you can really achieve anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, and for me, it's the people behind the scenes who aren't flashing all that stuff. Those are the ones you got to watch out for, because those are the smart people who are very successful.
No, I agree. Look at our cousins.
Yeah, they're doing great.
They're always really low key about everything. But that's great. I think that's important. Like you said, looking at others. When you're looking at others, you're usually seeing what they want you to see, and if that's like they're trying to, you're usually going to see like an ideal image that is really like a 5% look at the life, or it's a bird's eye view into life. So I think you're just setting yourself up to an impossible standard, or like you said, there's always someone better than you out there. That's just the reality. It's fact. Everyone's got different circumstances. Some people come from single family households. Some people come from, more challenging circumstances growing up. So I really liked how you just tackled that answer. Before we get into our last part of this, I just wanted to ask, as a professional athlete, going from that transition of, being a college student athlete and now, having a name and you're a professional athlete now, do you ever have an experience where you felt like, some people were trying to take advantage of you, or, you were, you got to be careful of who you interact with, or how open you get with people, because, they might have some hidden intentions?
Yeah, no, I was always like a under the radar kind of prospect coming up. But I will say the one thing that I did learn from playing in like the New York Yankees organization is like from a social media standpoint, it's always being mindful of what you post. We had a whole I think it was a 2-day course in the morning where they had a social media expert come in and like tell the kids like, hey, look, it doesn't matter when or where you say it. Once you put it online, it's there forever. So be mindful. They always told us, 1, is it worth it? 2, does it have any value? 3, do you really want to send this? And then if you can check off all those boxes, then then send it. If not, if you have any reservations, don't even bother. There's no point. So I think that's the main thing. It makes it scary in this day and age for my children too, as well, because it's such a volatile environment social media is. So I just try to help make them aware of what's going on and being mindful and obviously paying attention.
I wanted to kind of touch on some of the negative stereotypes that you have to face as an athlete and in dentistry. If you want to kind of talk about some of those.
Yeah, there aren't any that I ever had to deal with. I did get, some people maybe have labeled me from behind the scenes, but none that I ever dealt with personally.
Okay.
All right, and just now, like, just to wrap this up, I just want you to, like, just any advice that you have for someone who's trying to find their passion or maybe they feel like they're trapped. They're kind of scared to, like, explore, because you've been someone who's just, you want to do something, you go and did it. Advice you have for someone like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have anything that you're very passionate about and that you really want to do, it's just to go for it. I mean, I always tell my wife, it's like, if you want to do something, just go do it. Learn about it, go do it. Go jump in, and then find the people in your life that will help you, who will also support you, because you do need that good, strong support network. Definitely, that's provided for me through my family. But yeah, I mean, you only live once, so that's my whole thing too. It's like I could have easily gone back into coaching and stayed in professional baseball, but I did always want to become a doctor, whether it was a veterinary doctor or a dentist. So, I'm very grateful that I had, good parents who helped establish a good foundation for me and good values in terms of education first and everything else second. And then also too, good, strong family values, having my parents be there for me and even my in-laws here for me all the time. It's been very, very beneficial.
Yeah, I want to, thank you for taking the time to be on here with us, and we really appreciate it. Talking about your journey from professional baseball into dentistry. I'm definitely I've been taking some notes. I'm gonna use what you've told me, and I look forward to having you on again down the road.
All right, sounds good. And maybe the next time I'll be a doctor.
Yeah, we'll have to add doctor to that title. Yeah,
that'd be great, right?
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good luck.
See you.
All right, man.
See you.
Yep.
See ya.